Hey, physical science students, it's Mr. Lambert here. I'm using my dot cam today, so the video won't be as shaky. And this might be in a couple parts, so I won't feel rushed. We only get 5-minute limits to record these videos for you. But this is a really cool experiment. It's called Using Properties to Identify Materials. It's a forensic science lab. It's a really cool experiment that'll help us understand physical properties and chemical properties of substances that might look similar to the naked eye. In class, we've already started to talk about physical properties and chemical properties, and we're going to use these terms to help us solve a crime, to help us solve a mystery. Okay, so I'm going to read the scenario real quickly. At Bakery 42 in Antrim, the baker arrives at 3 a.m. to find her assistant baker dead, lying in a pool of blood. Throughout the bakery is an unidentified white powder. Multiple individuals were brought in for questioning, but only one, the daytime cashier, had white powder on her shoes. At this point, she is the main suspect in the crime, but is the white powder on her shoes the same white powder that was found in the bakery? Your job is to determine if the cashier committed the murder. As you can see, let's run over the materials first so we all, you at home, can see what we're using here. I'm just gonna leave this up. I'm gonna put these under the camera so we can all see. The first thing we're gonna need is something called a spot plate. Right here is a spot plate. It's a clear plastic tray that has little wells in it, little divots like this. And we're going to be mixing certain white powders with everyday household chemicals to see if we get some sort of change that we can observe, some sort of either physical or chemical change. So there's our spot plate. The next says 5 spatulas or popsicle sticks. We have plenty of those. The next is cornstarch, everyday household, put that there, cornstarch. And I put the cornstarch in a little white dish that says cornstarch. Notice at first glance, at first observation, it is a white powder. The next one is everyday baking soda. Here is the box of baking soda that we just purchased. There's your baking soda. And also we put it in a little plastic container. Notice it also looks like a white powder. The third chemical we're going to use is not baking soda, but baking powder. We also have powder from the suspect's shoe, the cashier's shoe. We're going to try to find out if this powder matches any of our known powders by having them undergo physical and chemical changes. And we also have powder that was found at the crime scene in the bakery, also a white powder. So we're almost done. We're almost done with the materials. What are we going to mix these with to see if we can observe any changes? I have everyday ordinary water. This is actually distilled water, but I have a squirt bottle full of water. I have vinegar, everyday household vinegar. There's the bottle of vinegar. And I put the vinegar in a small beaker right here. This is the vinegar with a pipette with a little dropper. Okay. And lastly, you might not have this at home, but you could probably find it maybe at a drugstore. This is iodine. I put it in a little beaker. Iodine, I'm not going to tell you what it does, but we're going to use it to determine some properties of these powders. So we have our droppers, we have our samples, we have all of the materials that we need. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the paper. I'm going to set up the spot plate. Notice that we have a nice little diagram for you. The spot plate is 5 rows by 3 columns, or you could say 3 by 5. We have A, B, and C rows, and then we have columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the top left corner of the spot plate would be A1. The bottom right-hand corner would be C5. Now that we have our setup and I have all of the powders next to me, we're going to go through the procedure and we're going to see what we can observe.